Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. One of the 5 versus 5 matchups that I think it's kind of intriguing because I think it could go either way in terms of entertainment, and that's Zhang versus Deontay Wilder. Now, as we know, both are coming off defeats to Joseph Parker. With Zang, I thought it was a close fight. I actually had it 113, 113, a draw. And I know a few people think Zang won it. Zang floored Parker twice. I had Parker winning 7 of the rounds, but because of the 2 10-8s, I had it a draw 113, 113. And Zang himself, I think, feels sort of hard done by with that fight. And that, of course, it was only in March of this year, so this is a quick turnaround for Zang. He was coming off the back of the 2 Joe Joyce victories, so he was flying high, and now he's, snakes and ladders, gone down the chute. Wilder's a different story. I mean, people forget, they say, oh yeah, Zang's 40. Well, Wilder's 38. It's not that far off it. And Wilder, despite, the very thin resume of truly world-class opponents, he has had 47 fights, whereas Zang, I think, has only had 29, I think it is, 26 wins, 2 defeats and 1 draw. Yeah, okay. 29 fights. Wilder's got 43 wins with 42 KOs, of course. We know about the power. 3 defeats, 2 by stoppage, and then 1 draw. And the 2 defeats, 2 of the 3 defeats, and the draw, of course, to Fury, and then there's Parker as well. So, on paper, you think, okay, age-wise, similar. Both coming off a defeat. But the manner of the defeat with Wilder compared to the one that Zang suffered against Parker is what really unnerves me. I thought it was such a bizarre performance by Wilder against Parker, really odd. In the last, let's put it this way, since being knocked out by Tyson Fury in the 11th round in 2021, he's fought Robert Helenius for just under 3 minutes, and he had the Parker non-event in terms of his effort. So what's left? The question to me is, Zang we know about. Really big, hard-hitting guy with very good skills who gasses in the second half of a fight. That can, if you want a little thumbnail or a little précis, that is it. With Wilder, the one thing we thought we could rely on was that power, was the effort, with the blinding with the jab and then bring the right crossover and bang, it's all over. But against Parker, he showed none of that. He showed no desire, really. He fought kind of like a hippie. Maybe he's really that. What's that stuff? Ayahuasca or whatever the bloody hell it's called. I've never taken it, never will. But, and all this, you expect him to sort of come to the ring, I don't know, maybe having dreads with some incense sticks sticking out of his hair, or floating around in one of those floral hippie shirts. He might as well have done that, because he fought like a guy who had seemed to have lost all the spite and the nastiness that's needed to be a heavyweight contender, certainly a champion. And I've got to ask the question with Wilder, does he really want to fight anymore? Because one of the reasons why fighters fight for too long, it's not just the adulation and the money, and it's also the fact that they've been boxers for so long, usually since childhood, not in the case of Wilder, but very often since childhood, and it is their identity. And it's very difficult to take away someone's identity, because it leaves a huge gaping hole, and what are you going to fill it with? And I'm just wondering if Wilder, at the age of 38, close to middle-aged and youth now, is wondering, well, I can't let go of boxing. This is what makes me the Bronze Bomber. This is what makes me Deontay Wilder. This is what's got me, all the, a statue in Alabama, and, from where was he from? Tuscaloosa, I think. I used to live in Alabama, so I know the area a little bit. But it's a hell of a thing to sort of wind down and say, okay, I'm done with that. Oh, what do I do next? Again, it's the old line about athletes dying 2 deaths. They die the athletic death, where they can't do what they used to anymore, and then they die the mere mortal death that we all do. So I just wonder if he kind of knows in his heart of hearts that he can't do this anymore. Maybe he doesn't want to do it. Maybe he has moved on. You see, I was making fun of him with his sort of, calling him a sort of neo-hippie, all this new age, newfangled stuff, which is not new at all, of course. New age stuff goes back thousands of years. But there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the next stage of his life, that's fine. But you've got to say, okay, I've got to leave. I've got to accept that I'm moving on now. And maybe he can't do that. Maybe he wants to be with his family. Maybe he wants to do other things. Maybe he wants to travel the world, sampling, shall we say, certain exotic tobaccos and doing all that stuff. That's fine. Look at Mike Tyson. Look what he did. But it's very difficult to leave it behind, just as Mike Tyson is coming back against Jake Paul at whatever he is, 58 or whatever he is. Ridiculous matchup, but there we are. Maybe Wilder, he'll always be thought of in celebrity terms, in worldwide terms, as being the former heavyweight champion. So he's going to have to accept, if he wants to move on, that was then and this is now. And I'm wondering if he can do that. Now, let's say that, he still wants to do it, regardless of whether he believes he can or not. It goes without saying he's going to have to do infinitely better than he did against Parker, because against Parker, his performance wasn't just atrocious, it was bizarre. Just watching it, I couldn't believe what I was thinking. What the hell is he doing? I don't get it. What's the hidden, what's the tactic? What's the hidden plan here? Is he going to try and take Parker late? I don't know. I didn't understand it at all. Still don't. I don't think there was anything really to understand. So I think that he's going to have to come in with some of that old spite. He's talked about it in interviews and at the 5 versus 5, presser. He was saying the right things. But sitting there on the dais, he looked a little bit worn, a little bit. There was almost a sort of sagely realization, that here I am in my life. This is my point of life. It's almost like he was he thought, I'm going to say these things, but at the same time, I'm not entirely sure if what I'm saying is going to come to fruition, if I'm going to actually be able to do it. But you know what? If this is my last stand, I'm going to enjoy it. There seemed to be, I'm almost tempted to say, resignation about his demeanour when he was giving. He gave a great long sort of ramble about his life and recent years and what he'd been through and so on and so forth. And again, we all change. We all become different human beings. As Muhammad Ali famously said, the man who is the same at 50 as he was at 20 has not lived a life. We all change. We all develop. We all become more subdued, more philosophical, more passive, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as we're happy. But I do wonder, whereas with Zhang, like I say, we can sum him up. 40, very big hitter, good skills, gases. With Wilder, what's he got left? That to me is, of all the 5 versus 5s, that's the question that hangs over my head, because I think Deontay Wilder, apart from the fact he signed with Eddie Hearn, which is bizarre in itself, you would think, what is he going to... Does he really fit into this 5 versus 5 scenario? Clearly he does, because he's there. But does he fit in the same way? Especially now that he's the team captain as well, which I think is really strange. A really strange decision by Hearn. I think what Hearn is trying to do is he signed Wilder. He thinks, I'll give him the team captaincy. I'll beef him up and I'll see if we can resurrect what was once there and bring him along the way that I would have brought him along 10 years ago if I'd been in charge of his career. Well, that was 10 years ago, Eddie. And I'm not saying Wilder doesn't have anything left. There's always a chance that some fighter can pull out one last great performance. And it's feasible that he could beat Zang, no question about it. I have to say, preliminary thoughts, I make Zang the favourite. But, yeah, I just think, that ship might have sailed with Wilder. Maybe I'm wrong. And I think this fight, again, the intrigue with this fight is that it could be an absolute shootout or it could be a bore fest. It could go either way. So I don't know. What does he have left? You tell me. Give me your opinions. Let me know what you think about Wilder, where he's at, what does he have left, and so on and so forth. And I'll read your comments and answer as many as I can. And, of course, thank you, as always, for your time, for subscribing. Please subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button as well and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now.